Hello and welcome to our newscast, coming to you live from Seoul. I'm Laah Hyun-kyung. First, South Korea's Unification Minister Ryoo Kihl-jae has embarked on a trip to the U.S. He will stay there for a week and meet with U.S. senior officials and lawmakers to discuss North Korea issues. ARIRANG's Hwang Sung-hee has more.
In Washington, South Korean Unification Minister Ryoo Kihl-jae will meet with senior officials, including Under-Secretary of State for Political Affairs Wendy Sherman and lawmakers vocal on North Korea issues such as Ed Royce and Marco Rubio. His trip marks the first visit to the U.S. by a South Korean Unification Minister since 2011 and comes as Seoul seeks out new momentum in inter-Korean relations. A senior South Korean official told reporters that the government must actively consider incentives for North Korea to resolve the issue of war-separated families who are now in their 80s and 90s. Stressing its utmost importance, the official said it would be an international shame if the government failed to resolve the matter. Although he did not elaborate on what the incentives could be, it's widely speculated South Korea is considering the lifting of economic sanctions imposed on the North in 2010. The sanctions came after North Korea torpedoed a South Korean warship, killing 46 soldiers. The official stressed Pyongyang must apologize for the attack for the sanctions to be lifted, but added all issues will be open for discussion if the two Koreas meet for talk. Pundits say the South Korean government should seek a package deal that includes an apology from the North for the 2010 attack, the lifting of sanctions, and the issue of war-separated families for a much-needed breakthrough in inter-Korean relations. Hwang Sung-hee, ARIRANG News.
Meanwhile, President Park Geun-hye says North Korea's nuclear ambitions are a grave threat to peace on the Korean Peninsula, Northeast Asia, and the world as well. Speaking at the annual World Policy Conference in Seoul this morning, she said the lack of trust and cooperation, especially among countries in Northeast Asia, was also jeopardizing stability in the region. To turn the tide, President Park reintroduced her vision for creating a trust politic by which trust and cooperation would be developed through non-political exchanges, not only between the two Koreas, but also countries in Northeast Asia and Eurasia. She also reiterated her drive for reunification, saying a unified Korea would bolster global governance for world peace. North Korea says it was not behind the recent cyber attack on Sony Pictures and has pointed fingers elsewhere. While denying responsibility, North Korea's National Defense Commission said the hack might be, quote, the righteous deed of the supporters and sympathizers of the North. Last week's cyber attack completely paralyzed Sony Pictures' computer systems and leaked a handful of previously unreleased films, including the movie The Interview, onto the internet. Although in a comical way, the film depicts the assassination of North Korean leader Kim Jong-un and is due for release in the United States later this month. Now, Bloomberg, quoting an unnamed source, is reporting that the attack originated from a hotel in the Thai capital of Bangkok. The host city for the 2018 Winter Olympics, Korea's Pyeongchang, has been given the option of taking a few of the events outside of Korea. This suggestion was made by the IOC president. Song Ji-sun tells us more.
It took Pyeongchang 3 attempts to win the rights to host the Winter Olympics. But when the flame is lit and the games get underway in February 2018, some of the events could be taking place elsewhere. The International Olympic Committee has offered a Pyeongchang Organizing Committee the chance to host some of the events in other countries. The decision will be Pyeongchang's to make, though. The IOC's Coordination Commissioner Gunilla Lindberg told AP that Pyeongchang gets the final say on whether the games stay within the city or whether it takes the opportunity to host some events elsewhere. These proposals are part of the IOC President Thomas Bach's package of reforms dubbed Agenda 2020. The agenda is part of the IOC's bid to change the Olympic Games to better adapt in the changing world for financial and sustainability reasons.
If we do not address these challenges here and now, we will be hit by them very soon. If we do not drive these changes ourselves, others will drive us to them.
According to the IOC, hosting sledding events in pre-existing venues would save Pyeongchang $120 million in construction costs and up to $5 million a year in maintenance. After voting on Agenda 2020 on Monday and Tuesday, the IOC will hand over a list of potential cities to the Pyeongchang Organizing Committee, which has until March to make its decision. The candidates include Nagano in Japan and Salt Lake City in the U.S., as well as 10 other sites in Europe, America, and Asia. 송지선, 아리랑 뉴스.
The fact of the matter, as Ji-sun said, is that Pyeongchang has the final say, and leaders here in Korea were quick to jump in with opposition to the IOC's suggestion. President Park Geun-hye was quoted as saying that hosting the games along with other countries was an unacceptable option and asked that efforts be made to end discussions on the matter. Organizers of the Pyeongchang Organizing Committee said if the IOC attempts to push its plan forward, they will resist. And Choi Mun-sun, the governor of the Gangwon-do province, says it would be impossible to change event venues now as construction on 6 new stadiums is already underway in Korea. An American legislator says the proper name for Korea's easternmost islets is not the Leoncourt Rocks or Takeshima, but Dokdo. Our Shin Se-min tells us more about the congressman and what he had to say about other issues surrounding the Korean peninsula.
An 11-term U.S. lawmaker is making clear where he stands on a number of issues that have placed South Korea at odds with neighbors. In a wide-ranging interview with Seoul-based Yonhap News Agency, Congressman Ed Royce, who is chairman of the House Committee on Foreign Affairs, said that understanding the past is key to understanding the present. On the issue of Dokdo Island, Royce openly rejected Japan's claim to the Korean territory and said its proper name is Dokdo, not the Leoncourt Rocks as the U.S. officially refers to it, and not Takeshima, which is what Japan calls it. It's a rare assertion since the U.S. government takes no official position on the issue. Royce also slammed Tokyo for repeatedly declining to take responsibility for forcing women into sexual slavery before and during World War II. Calling it as horrifying as denying the Holocaust, Royce said Japan needed to admit history as it occurred to make for a better future. Regarding North Korea, Royce said he has introduced legislation that calls for stronger financial sanctions on the regime. The North Korea Sanctions Enforcement Act passed the House earlier this year and currently awaits approval by the Senate, although passage is unlikely in this current Congress. If the bill doesn't pass, Royce said he would reintroduce it once the new Congress comes in. In the meantime, the veteran lawmaker said Washington, Seoul, and Tokyo needed to work more closely with one another to maintain pressure on North Korea over its human rights violations and repeated provocations. Shin Se-min, ARIRANG News.
Protests continue in several cities in the U.S. against a recent spate of police confrontations that ended up with the deaths of an unarmed black man. Demonstrations, which began peacefully, turned violent in some states, leading to the use of pepper spray and multiple arrests. Son Jung-in reports.
Thousands of demonstrators took to the streets of major U.S. cities over the weekend. The mostly peaceful marches were part of the ongoing protests held since the announcement last Wednesday of a grand jury's decision not to indict a white police officer in the chokehold death of an unarmed black man, Eric Garner. The decision closely followed recent cases of police avoiding prosecution after being implicated in the deaths of African-American men. In New York, protesters chanted slogans like "I can't breathe," the last word spoken by Garner, while others staged a symbolic die-in by lying down on the floor of Grand Central Terminal. While the majority of the gatherings passed by peacefully, some protests, including ones in Berkeley and Seattle, were marred with violence. Some protesters split off from the main crowd to smash windows and pelt police with rocks and bottles, leaving some officers with minor injuries. Demonstrations were also held in Philadelphia, Chicago, Miami, Las Vegas, and a number of other smaller cities. Protesters are demanding a fair execution of the law, regardless of race. Meanwhile, Eric Garner's family, who joined civil rights activist Al Sharpton at the site on Staten Island where Garner died in July, thanked protesters across the country. Sharpton also announced plans to organize more rallies in the near future and to press for change at the federal level. 손정인, ARIRANG News.
Some 1,000 travelers have been grounded in the Philippines due to Typhoon Hagupit. Reports say these are people who had arrived in destinations like Boracay and Manila since last Wednesday. The storm is slowly making its way out of the country after forcing more than 1 million residents to take cover. Seoul's foreign ministry has issued a travel warning to the Philippines. Now, the Philippines foreign or interior minister says at least 3 people have died since the typhoon made landfall on Saturday. The storm brought winds of up to 175 kilometers an hour, knocking down power and phone lines and flattening homes in an area near the region devastated by last year's Typhoon Haiyan that killed thousands of people. With household debt piling up to a record high, financial regulators are seeking ways to control it while at the same time promoting domestic consumption. Government policymakers have been urging the Bank of Korea to cut its key interest rate one more time following 2 rounds of cuts this year to help bolster domestic demand. But the central bank has expressed concern that such expansionary monetary policies risk making the debt problem spin out of control. The easing of regulations over mortgage loans earlier this year has been widely blamed for the recent increase in household debt, which hit a new high of $950 billion in September. In other news, they used to be focused on TVs and newspapers and then all over the internet, and now they are migrating to the mobile sector. The amount spent on mobile advertisements is growing at a rapid pace here in Korea. Kim Hyun-bin has this story.
The internet prompted advertisers to reallocate big chunks of their budgets from television to online media. Now, they have shifted their focus to the mobile phone advertising market. It's a market that has grown significantly here since the advent of the smartphone. And experts believe it's only a matter of time before the trend set by Korea will be followed by other nations. According to a new report by U.S. market research, eMarketer, the amount of money spent on mobile advertisements made up more than 38% of all online ads taken out by Korean businesses this year. That's up 18 percentage points from 2013, and well above the international mean of 26% for this year. But there's plenty of room for growth. The report predicts that mobile advertisements will surpass online advertisements by the end of next year, and will make up more than 73% of the total online market by 2018, when the international average will approach 60%. Expect a similar boom in the mobile payment transaction market. In the first quarter of 2013, the market stood at little over $1 billion in Korea. Just months later, by the end of the third quarter, the number has soared more than threefold to roughly $3.5 billion. With smartphones now in the pockets of so many people, expect advertisers and businesses to continue tapping into them, with hopes of reaching as many potential customers as possible. Kim Hyun-bin, ARIRANG News.
And staying with this topic, smart wearable devices may be taking off here in Korea. SK Telecom's T-Outdoor service, which is tailored to wearable devices, has seen its number of subscribers surpass 25,000 since its launch in early November. The service, which is tailored for Samsung's Gear S smartwatch, allows users to make and receive phone calls without their smartphones. Another data plan by KT called Ole Wearable is also drawing strong strong interest. Within a month of going live, the service added more than 10,000 subscribers. LG U Plus says it's planning to launch their own wearable device plan sometime soon. The entertainment agencies mainly behind the K-pop and K-drama crazes are not limiting themselves to only those two and are turning their eyes to other industries. Some of them include fashion and travel packages. Here's our Connie Kim with more.
Fantastic, baby.
Big Bang, Girls' Generation, Super Junior. There are few K-pop stars who have taken the world by storm, capped off, of course, by Psy and his YouTube hit Gangnam Style. Behind every great act in Korea is an entertainment agency that cultivates and promotes them. And leading the pack is YG Entertainment, one of the powerhouses driving the so-called Hallyu or Korean wave. Founded in 1996, it created a success formula with idol groups like Big Bang and 21, and went public on Korea's tech-heavy compact stock market 3 years ago. YG now boasts annual revenue of some $104 million, more than 250 employees, and more than 20 artists under its belt. On the back of their success, entertainment giants are now branching out to other businesses. In September, YG launched apparel brand Nonigan, using its fashionable artists who influence fans all over the world to market it. Through pop-up stores in Italy, Hong Kong, and China, it aims to rake in $90 million by 2017.
I've always thought that fashion and music go in line together. When we think of Big Bang and 21, we think of their songs, but behind their performances, it's their styling and fashion that makes them a whole.
It even jumped on the popularity of Korean cosmetics with its own line, Moonshot, targeting K-pop fans with Asian facial features. Recognizing YG's growth potential, French luxury goods giant LVMH has announced it'll invest up to $80 million in the company. While YG may be at the top right now when it comes to branching out, it's not the first. SM Entertainment, a Hallyu pioneer, started diversifying its business 2 years ago. It acquired travel agency BTNI, offering music fans special concert tours in Korea. And last year, SM collaborated with publisher Design House to release the lifestyle magazine The Celebrity, printing an average of 80,000 copies a month.
As these SM and YG are entering these businesses, they could probably see some synergy when they utilize their artists in those areas. And as from customer standpoint, if they get more touch points,
market watchers say it's important for them to keep their capital flowing, as it's too early to call these ventures a success. To promote their new businesses, it's also vital to keep the K-pop boom going.
In addition to reaching out to other industries, it's important that they stick to their original source of profit, producing good music to expand their fan base worldwide.
If YG and SM's new business ventures enjoy the same success that K-pop has, it'll not only provide a new source for profits, it'll also give a boost to a new kind of Korean wave. Connie Kim, ARIRANG News.
Bringing you the fresh updates from stories breaking in Korea and abroad. We give you a bigger and better picture of the world. Join Laah Hyun-kyung live from Seoul. Every weekday, only on ARIRANG.
A couple of weeks ago, we brought you a report about a pair of glasses that works like a computer mouse for paralyzed people. Today, our Kim In-ji has more examples that have changed the way we live, especially for people with disabilities.
Technology continues to find new ways to enrich our lives. This tablet PC can translate sign language. A 3D sensor detects the sign language and interprets it into text or sound.
Hello. My name is Ryan. What's your name?
When words are spoken, they are shown as text on the screen.
My name is Jordan.
The tablet created by technicians with hearing impairments expands the scope of communication between the disabled and non-disabled. This device aids people with visual impairments. A camera on the side of the glass reads text on the products. When you place your finger on the text, the speaker plays it out loud. It can also inform the wearer of the color of traffic lights and the value of cash they are holding.
$50.
Thank you very much.
The technology enables users to ride the bus alone and read menus, making their lives more convenient than ever.
And he passed 850.
Devices that help patients who are paralyzed from the waist down walk have also become more sophisticated. Made using fiber, this robot outfit allows the walking to look more natural. It can also detect obstacles that may be in the way.
Wearable robot to really help with walking. It's really critical for it to provide the right level of assistance at the right time for the wearer.
These are technological developments that no doubt inspire hope in millions of disabled people worldwide. Kim Min-ji, ARIRANG News.
We continue to hear about classic albums and movies being digitally remastered. For movie lovers, it's a great chance to watch some of your all-time favorites on the big screen. A few have hit theaters once again here in Korea. Our Im Yoon-hee has the lineup. Take a look.
Set against the beautiful beaches of New Zealand, Ada is a mute piano player who has just been sold by her father to a new husband. She speaks through the piano and through sign language interpreted by her daughter. The Piano was a hugely successful film when it first debuted in 1993, and now over 20 years later, it's been remade into a digital version.
This movie shows what women truly want, seen through a piano. The rainy scene on the beach with the piano has so much heartbreak and inspiration.
Another movie recently re-released is The Lovers on the Bridge, a French film about two homeless people who fall in love in Paris. One is addicted to alcohol, and the other is losing her sight. But despite the hurdles, the two still manage to find romance in the city of love. One of the most successful Japanese movies of all time, Howl's Moving Castle is an Academy Award-nominated film that captivated the hearts of millions around the world, and is now another digitally remade movie to hit theaters this holiday season.
It's very interesting and stimulated the imagination once again. The characters were impressively reinterpreted.
'Tis the season for family and a time to enjoy the present as well as the past. These movies were beloved decades ago and are stirring up those same sentiments once again for families everywhere.
Im Yoon-hee, ARIRANG News.
Happy Monday, everyone. I'm Michelle Park here with the latest weather forecast. The cold wave has passed with our morning lows about 4 degrees higher compared to yesterday, and with that, our daytime highs are expected to be warmer above the freezing point as well. Now, we can expect clear sunny skies nationwide today due to the high pressure front, but enjoy it while you can because nationwide snow is on the way on Wednesday and Thursday. Now, most of our highs today will linger above the 0 degrees and even near 10 in the southern regions. However, in the areas where there hasn't been snowed much, such as the capital and the Gyeondo province, can expect dry weather conditions to continue out. And to our readings for today, Seoul will peak to 3 degrees this afternoon. Meanwhile, the southern cities such as Gwangju and Busan will reach up to 8 and 9 degrees. Moving over to other regions, we're seeing Jeju Island at 10, Dokdo a bit lower at 5 degrees, while Namgungang be colder at -4. Well, that's all for now. Michelle Park. Now, here's a look at the weather conditions around the world.
And that does it for this edition of our newscast. From me and the rest of the team in Seoul, thanks for staying with us. We'll be back with more updates at 6 p.m. Korea time.